Gurudev.
Jai
So we
Guruji.
have Jaina. Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev, Jaina Didi. So we have Jaina Didi with us, and today she is going to share about her beautiful Guru stories. Jaina Didi, like last year, it was a big thing for many of us that she presented paper on Gurudev's peace initiatives in Harvard, and we all know her other than anything else. She's a beautiful art of living teacher, and she was Gurudev's secretary for international affairs for 13 years, and I think she started the secretariat, the structured secretariat, so to say. She was teaching so many art excellence courses before that. So from Mumbai, South Mumbai girl to becoming ashramite. I mean, other
Yeah.
than becoming Gurudev's secretary, being South Bombay girl to becoming ashramite, it's a beautiful journey. So, Jaina Didi, we usually give this 5 minutes buffer time so that people who are watching, they can come on the stream, and they can also, they can share the post. So we have already 121 people who are watching us. So I'll request them, and not even a minute. So I'll request them to share the post. If you are watching it on Facebook, you can always share, start watch party so that maximum people get notification. And if you are watching it on YouTube, then you can copy the link and share it in the around 10 Art of Living WhatsApp groups. So let's give. I hope you guys are enjoying this initiative. Today we have Jaina Desai Didi with us, and share the post. Like, and I don't know whether you have seen some other Guru stories. On here you can see the link tiny.cc/Guru stories. We have had amazing Guru stories recorded by Alka Mulki, Vishwas Mulki. Then we had Swami Vaishampan, we had Rajita Bagga Didi, Chandrakant Rati, who traveled with Gurudev since last 21 years. He's traveling so many countries with Gurudev. Prashant Rajore, Dinesh Ghodke, who started Yes Plus, Shashi Navlakhaji, beautiful Guru stories. She has mentioned. Then Jigish Bhaiya, we had Swami Brahmachitta, Pranavananda, Swami Harish Ramchandran. So all these people have recorded their Guru stories here. Today we have Jaina Desai Didi, and some amazing Guru stories we are going to hear from her. She was Gurudev's secretary for 13 years. We are just giving this 5 minutes buffer time so maximum people can join. If you're watching it on Facebook, you can share, create watch party. If you're watching it on YouTube, you can share the link with 10 WhatsApp groups. And this week is really amazing week. Like we had Tanuma, then we had Jishinitya Pragya, today we have Jaina Didi, then tomorrow we have Sangeeta Janiji. We are again having Mehul Parikh and Hima Parikh. Then we have Richa Chopra, Narendra Lamba, and so many amazing Anand Desai. We have Swami Purna Chaitanya ji coming. From Alex to Swami Purna Chaitanya, how his journey was. He's going to share that. We already have Jaina Desai Didi waiting with us. So we will soon have an online in next 1 minute's time. Those who are watching, I'll again request you to share this post with maximum people. Huh? And no. There is no. Somebody is asking, is there a yardstick that South Bombay girl cannot be Gurudev's secretary? We are the best. I absolutely agree. So there is no doubt about that. I'm just saying that being ashramite, it's something non-conventional. Uh, for any youngster, be it South Bombay or be it Dombivli girl, but anyway, it's not that conventional for any girl, so to be the ashramite. So, and she was Gurudev's secretary. So we are going to have a lot of fun with her today and listen to her amazing Guru stories. Again, if you are watching it on YouTube, share the post on WhatsApps, and if you are watching it on Facebook, share, create, watch party. So we'll have her online now. Jai Gurudev, Jaina Didi.
Vijay. Thank you for having
So
me.
uh, this is really a privilege, Didi, to have you on this show. You have never openly spoken about your Guru stories, I guess.
Yes,
You
never.
have always kept it confidential, being Gurudev's secretary. and we are so eager to listen to your Guru stories, the beautiful moments that you spent with Gurudev, your learnings through it. And one thing I observed about you, that whenever we talk about art of living, whenever I speak about art of living to many teachers, they always call it organization. Our in our organization this should happen, in our organization that should happen. But since yesterday when I'm speaking to you on call, you're always mentioning it as a movement,
Yeah.
that this is a movement. And this vocabulary shows that you have been trained and mentored by Gurudev, because Gurudev, so many times when he's mentioning about art of living, he's teaching me in whatever small capacity I'm doing seva. He always tells me that you need to look at it as a movement.
Yeah.
So how was this whole journey for you, Didi?
You
This
know, for
13
me,
years being
yeah,
secretary.
for me actually, see, with Gurudev, the connection is lifetimes. It is not just this physical lifetime that we are in with him, and the connection is in so many realms. So, of course, I did my first program in 1998 in Mumbai with Manisha Mehta, my dear teacher. And I became a teacher myself in 2000. And, in those days, I was only teaching Art Excel. And when I became an Art Excel teacher in 2000, I was a little bit like, disappointed in the heart. And I went to Gurudev. We were those days. Gurudev used to give us the manual himself, with his hands, and he knew my heart as he knows all our hearts. And he said, "Jaina, you are disappointed, no, a little bit." I didn't want to say no. I didn't want to say yes because it's such a beautiful day to become a teacher. So I didn't know what to say. So he said, "Yes, I know you are disappointed, but later on you will be doing very big things for me. Just now you teach Art Excel," he said. And then I taught Art Excel. I came to the ashram in 2004. And the day I came to the ashram, I went to Gurudev's kutir, and I was standing at the gate of the old Shakti kutir in the old ashram, waiting for Gurudev to come. And he saw me. He was coming from outside actually into the kutir. He saw me, and he just so naturally, casually handed me a bunch of letters, and he indicated to me to go up with him to the kutir. So I told Gurudev, I said, "Gurudev, I have lost my job, and now what should I do?" So he said, "You become my secretary from today." And I actually got goosebumps. This was in 2004, September 4th. I remember the date so well. And this must be around 4:20, 4:30 in the afternoon. Because maybe 3 years ago, I was living in Bombay, in my home. And I used to look up at the ceiling of the home and say that this is not where I'm meant to be. I'm meant to be with my guru in the ashram. And I had this thought, like a fleeting thought that came in my mind, that one day I'll be Gurudev's secretary. I'll read his letters to him. I'll be with him the whole day. I'll talk to him. I will communicate for him. And, it was just a thought. It was not even a prayer. It was not even a desire. And the day I reached the ashram, he has even made that thought a reality. So truly, our master knows us. He knows our heart and he knows everything. So for me, this was so incredible. And then people would tease me because all those days I was only teaching Art Excel for 4 years, day in and day out. And then people would tease me when I came to the ashram and became a secretary. They would say, you were handling thousands of children. That's why now you can handle the biggest child very well. So, but it is true. And yeah, so that was the beginning for me. And even the years when I did not see him so often before 2004, every time, every single meeting with Gurudev was a life lesson for me. It was really a life lesson for me. And for me personally, Gurudev has really taught me and trained me in everything. Even how to speak on the phone, he has taught me. Even how to write letters, he has taught me. He has taught me the value of being on time, the value of punctuality, the value of understanding time. Recently, just 10 days ago, Gurudev was saying in the kutir to somebody that somebody hadn't done their work on time, and he said, if you don't do that on time, time itself will eat the fruit of your action. And I remember this Gurudev instilling in me every single day, ye time pe karo, ye time pe karo. That was a very powerful lesson for me, because when I came to the ashram, I was very hesitant, I was very shy and very unsure of myself. And today he's made me like a tigress, like a lioness. But that time you wouldn't have recognized me, what I was at that time.
I think you must be tigress that time also. You were a lawyer, and being a lawyer practicing in Mumbai, you must be like a tigress only.
I was all of that, Digvijay, but I was very underconfident. I came from a very good background, very well educated, but there was something in me. I lost my father when I was 16 years old. And I have two younger sisters. When my father passed away, my middle sister was 10, my youngest sister was 8. And it was a very challenging time, to grow up three daughters without a father, and, not being unsure of every step actually. Suddenly, from living in a very, I would say, very opulent surrounding, we had to manage our finances differently. So life was very, very unsure in those days. And but there was a force that was holding my hand. I always tell my sisters also this, that Gurudev was taking care of us. We could have gone on any path, and he was taking care of us right from the beginning. And from the day we saw Gurudev, we felt that that loss that we had borne in our lives, all three of us felt that way. We came on the path at the same time, and my youngest sister was just 16 at that time when she joined the course. So we felt that then that Gurudev made up, just that presence of Guru Mat Pita, Guru Bandhu Sakha. So that presence made up for everything then in life.
So when you did your course, I think in 1998 with Manisha Mehta, what clicked you?
Actually, the Sudarshan Kriya didn't click to me, very frankly. So, what happened to me was the day after the course, all my friends were saying, let's go to Rishikesh. We're going on a rafting trip. So I thought I was actually going to Rishikesh on a rafting trip. And we reached the ashram that evening. I didn't know we were going for the advanced course. And I saw Gurudev in the hall. He was in satsang, right, far away in those pristine white clothes of his. And my heart, like tears have come out of my eyes. And my heart just opened up. Gurudev says of this, that when you see the divine, when you see your beloved, the knots in the heart, they unravel and tears flow without any reason. And I really experienced it. And I remember running to him. There were like hundreds of people in the way. I said, I don't want anybody between me and my Guru. I realized that time itself, that was him. And I went running to him. And then, the way Gurudev looked and that hug that he gave, I knew I had come home. Whatever it was, I had come home. And it was the most powerful moment actually of my life.
So you just mentioned that you went to Rishikesh for advanced course with Gurudev. Rishikesh has been always a beautiful time for everybody whenever Gurudev is there. Those Ganga dips and taking walks near the banks of Ganga. How any memory or evening satsang there? So any memory during that trip or any other Rishikesh trip of yours?
Rishikesh, I kept going till the time I came to the ashram actually. Finally, formally, 2004, I kept going every year because it was the most precious time for me. That was the place where I saw him first. And walking on the banks of the Ganga with him, even if you are a little behind and he's in the front, you feel so happy, I'm walking with him. Because Gurudev has this ability to make even the person right at the end feel that he's the closest to him. It's even in a satsang of 500,000 people, the person anywhere, the person sitting at the back, in the middle, in the front will say, Gurudev looked at me. Gurudev spoke to me. We've all experienced it, no? So Rishikesh also I had the same thing. Guruji was looking at me only. This trip was for me only, And many times somehow in Rishikesh, I would end up bumping into him very informally, in some place where I was not supposed to be there, So, and I used to be in silence, but I would see him and then start talking. So he would say, shh, shh. That would happen every day to me in Rishikesh.
So, when you met Gurudev for the first time, where
Huh.
was it in your mind that I will be his secretary someday?
Not the first time, but I told you a couple of years later in Bombay, this thought came to me that one day I'll be his secretary. But I
So,
didn't know how it would
being
happen because I had my life in South Bombay. I had my work, I had my career, I had everything. I didn't know how it would happen, but it happened.
being art of living teacher who is teaching kids, who is handling kids, and which is very difficult because my wife is in tuition teacher and I've seen it's difficult. You can't teach them. You just have to manage them and hope that they get the knowledge and they get the meditation. From
Yeah.
that to being Gurudev's secretary, that sudden change, how was it?
You know, I didn't feel it. As I told you, people would joke with me and say, "Oh, now you've handled thousands of kids. You can handle the biggest kid of all." Gurudev gave you that training. So one of the things I will tell every Art Excel teacher, okay, that being an Art Excel teacher, you have to be in the present moment. You have so many children around you; they keep you in the present moment. And being with Gurudev, especially as a secretary, you have to be in the present moment. You cannot miss a single thing that's happening in the space around it. Another thing about being, an Art Excel teacher was I learned a lot of discipline, and I mentioned this before. And being secretary to Gurudev, one has to have certain amount of discipline. One has to have it, or one has to cultivate it, or one is born with it. Another thing is to be able to change. Gurudev is very spontaneous. He's very much in the present moment. So he might change a decision that he's made. He might, like, it's happened to me so many times in my tenure as a secretary that Guruji has said, "Ye to ye karna hai, aise karna hai." You are taking it down as written in stone, and Gurudev looks at the moment, at the situation, and he might change that. And with children also, you have to be spontaneous. Gurudev is so creative, you know. Children are so creative. Gurudev is, I'm telling you, that laughter of his and his sense of humor. What a sense of humor Gurudev has. He can laugh at himself, he can laugh at others, he can make the world smile with him. Children also have an inherent sense of humor. So it was not such a difficult transition, actually.
So, do you remember in some time, some incidents where he has pulled your leg to, in this humor
Many
and
times.
laughter?
Many times. Especially when you make a mistake, many times.
And
So
being his secretary, please, please.
no, tell me, being a secretary. What?
So, being his secretary, you must have had a lot of scoldings also.
Oh yes, I can proudly say that I'm one of the people who he might have scolded the most in the world. One of the people, one of those elite class of people. I needed it also. See, Gurudev's anger is not really anger, or Gurudev's, words that might be a little strong are not really strong that way. They are, so that something inside you transforms. Gurudev's nature is pure compassion, it is kindness, it is unconditional love. So if he has done something, if he's a little strong in his words, or if he's being strict, or if he's scolding you for something, it is for your own growth. And I tell you, many times I needed that, Dignity. I remember many times, like around Gurudev, everyone had this and has this impression of me that I'm very quick, I'm very smooth in my work and I respond very quickly. But Gurudev trained me for it. I was actually very slow. When I came to the ashram, I didn't know anything, I was very slow. That's why he had to tell me, ye karo, because that was part of the job, you know. And I remember Gurudev, once I told him, I said, Gurudev, when I realized the lesson, for one very important thing, I said, Gurudev, you should scold me more often. So I learned better. So he said, why are you trying to change my nature? It is not my nature to scold you. He said, change your own self so that I don't need to scold you. Yeah.
Do you remember any such incidents where he really scolded you? Usually he's so nice and loving, but
I mean,
sometimes if you need it, he gives you.
yeah, he gives you and he should give you also. So I remember once long back, He told me to do something and I didn't know how to do it actually. So he called me up a month later to tell me that just, kya ho raha hai, something, something, all that. So I was updating him and all that. And then I told him that Gurudev, aapne mujhe ye kaam diya tha, this document, but I don't know what to do with it, and it's just been lying on my table. So I remember him telling me that, are you here to waste my time on this planet? If you don't know, you should ask. He said, I don't know what you do. I don't care how you do it. I want you to finish that work by tomorrow morning. So I have gone to the office, shivering. And then I have somehow the knowledge was downloaded to me how to do this document, how to work on it. The next morning, everything was done. And I get a call from Gurudev the next afternoon. So I was shaking, I thought now again he'll say something and, whatever. And I thought he's calling to ask about that work actually. He didn't ask me for anything. He just said, हाँ तुम कैसी हो? मैं ना लंदन में हूँ. You like chocolates? No, I'll get you chocolates from London. Because he knew I had finished that work, he didn't even need to ask me. So that is our guru actually.
Sometimes when he shouts at you, when he really, he's strict on you, he sometimes overcompensate also. Do you feel that?
No. Gurudev is the perfect balance. He will give you what you need at the right time. Whatever you need at the right time is given to you for your own growth. The master is perfect. No, I was reading in the Guru Gita, Parvati asks Shiva, who is where do you see this perfect balance of the divine and the material and the human personality? So Shiva says it is in the Guru. And that is really something, in our Guru, you will see this perfect combination of the ultimate divinity as well as of being 100% human in whatever he's doing. But that humanness is also 100% divine. And
Did you
Gurudev is...
mention that? Yeah, Gurudev, you please continue.
No, I was just saying Gurudev is 100%. I tell you, when he's eating, he's 100%. I have learned from him, watching him, to enjoy and to relish my food. We talk of that grape process, no? Gurudev is doing it every minute, actually, 100%.
So we all would like to know, Didi, how is Gurudev's daily schedule? You are the best person to share.
You can ask our secretaries now, but Gurudev, see, in his day, I would say the master's job is really to reach out to people. His work is that, the Guru didn't need to take this body otherwise. And I remember this story when I had gone to Paris. The first time I went without Gurudev, and I was very low because I was so used to being with him. And I remember, with tears in my eyes and feeling sorry for myself. I'm here and all that. And I remember one of our very senior teachers in France told me, that why are you like this? Why are you feeling sorry for yourself? He said, I meet Gurudev once in 2 years. And he said, you meet him every day of your life and all the time. And he said that, the master has taken this body because I needed him and because you needed him. He didn't need to take this body. So understand that he's always with you. So, you were saying that, no? Sorry, what was your question? Mention something to me.
No, I think my question I'll take later about Gurudev's schedule. But as you just mentioned that you were feeling so sorry about yourself that you are not with Gurudev.
I was feeling so sorry that Gurudev has just left me there in Paris and all of that.
Yeah.
And then of course...
And many devotees who are right now sitting at home feeling the similar thing, that we really want to come for Gurudev's birthday. But we are missing it. He's in India. So many people have their birthdays. They have plans to celebrate it with Gurudev. You were secretary for like 13 years and then you shifted to take care of the educational trust.
Yeah.
Was it difficult for you for that transition?
It was very difficult for me, Digvijay. It wasn't so easy, yes. Because what happens is that, the kind of person that I also get very involved. Maybe it's doership. I don't know. These are my, personal feelings maybe. That maybe it's doership. I don't know. But for me, I was living and breathing that role, for so long, and I'm a workaholic and all of that. And I remember when Gurudev told me this, and he said that, you will be training the new secretariat team and then moving out and all that. So I said, okay, whatever. Then after that conversation, he was stepping out to go somewhere. So I went running after him. I said, Gurudev, I showed him some files. I said, ये सब काम अभी बाकी है. So he said, तेरा और मेरा काम कभी खत्म होगा. He said, ये तो पूरी जिंदगी का काम है, तेरा और मेरा एक साथ. So it was not an easy transition. I would say in the first few months, definitely not. But as you step back from it, you realize that the Guru gives you what you need. He had kept me like a baby, in a nest, how a baby chick is kept, he had protected me like that for 13 years. And now my wings had grown, so now he's taught me to fly also on my own. The role is different. You have to make decisions on your own. It's not like I'm going to Gurudev every 2 minutes. Abhi ye kya karna hai, isme iska phone aayo. So now people come to me, what decisions to take, what should we communicate. And really the growth in that for me has been immense. So much self-confidence, so much growth. And Gurudev is still guiding every step of the way. And that one thing he told me, na, tera aur mera kaam kabhi khatam nahi hoga. He said, ye jeevan ka pura jeevan ka kaam hai, And I was actually very touched, like when he said that to me.
So now coming back to the question I asked, and this question everybody wants to know. How is Gurudev's daily schedule? How he spends his day? You were his secretary since morning to evening. Secretaries are with him. You know what all the updates. So how he spends his day?
Actually, one thing I will tell you, no one can know everything that Gurudev is doing. It is impossible because the master is working at so many different levels, physical, spiritual, at some other level, at the super conscious level. One cannot fathom the amount of work actually Gurudev does. Because he is so busy, he can keep millions of us busy full time every day. Millions of us in 156 countries are busy every day doing his work because he is so busy, But definitely, see, as I mentioned, that, he is a people's person also, and he reaches out to people. And people, they throng to see him. So one of the big chunks of his day is really meeting people, giving darshan. Another big chunk of his day is also managing the organization as it grows larger and larger. So he prioritizes and gives time for that. I have seen him, years and years. Perhaps Gurudev hasn't even slept 2 hours or 3 hours in the night. But then they say
Is
that
it?
people, 2-3 hours, 4 hours maybe, maximum. But because, when we sleep in India, the US is awake, or South America is awake, or Europe is awake. And Gurudev has built this movement, people to people, actually. That is why I always say it is a movement. We have legal organizations, we have all that, but it is actually a movement, people to people. That is why it is Vyakti Vikas Kendra, where every individual's life has been transformed by Gurudev. So, when you come back to schedule, really, I have seen him, he loves his morning walks in the ashram. He goes to the Gaushala, he plays with the cows, he meets. And, there it's also so much work happens. He meets the agriculture team, he will meet the people on the ground, he'll meet the people working in the Gaushala. All of that happens. His morning walk, I remember once, early morning, we were walking with him. And, a snake came out of a hole. Ashram, we are in the lap of Mother Nature. So a snake came out of a hole and someone went running with a stick to beat the snake. And Gurudev said, no, that is his home. Don't do anything to the snake. That is its home, And so many times, Gurudev is walking somewhere and then he sees, ye पौधे को पानी नहीं दिया. I said, how can you see with my naked eyes? I cannot see इसको पानी नहीं दिया, So all that happens, and of course, meeting people officially and formally, every single day, and then the lunch break, and then again he's working, and then again meeting people, then there's satsang, and again in the night meeting people. So I remember many times, I used to go running after him with big, big files. Gurudev, ye kaam nahi khatam hua, wo kaam khatam nahi hua. Because in my small mind, in my human mind, this is the work, all those emails and files and letters. But he's actually working every second, he's breathing and living seva every second. And Gurudev is also, I think, I would say that, he is a great lover of music. He's a great lover of the arts. And, he's a great lover of all that is beautiful and that can make the world beautiful for other people. So he lives his life like that. You know,
How he? Hmm.
go ahead.
Please,
Go
Didi.
ahead.
As long as you have something to speak, I need not speak. You please go on. You are saying something.
No, I was just thinking that, गुरु का जीवन वो भगवान का जीवन होता है. तो जब वो 24 घंटे जब हम गुरु को देखते हैं ना, तो पता चलता है कि भगवान कैसे जीवन जीते होंगे. हमने सब कहानियां सुनी तो है कृष्णा और रामा की, जीसस की सुनी है. वी हैव हर्ड स्टोरीज, but we are living that experience, all of us as devotees, in this lifetime. And that I can say with full conviction. We are all living this experience. And we are very, very fortunate as devotees. Every one devotee over there who's watching this or who's not watching this, but every devotee connected to Gurudev is immensely fortunate. Because we are watching the life of the divine unfolding in front of our own eyes.
So he's so busy. To what extent you have seen him multitask?
To what extent does
Like
he
you meant
multitask?
you. Yeah, I mean, like I have seen him doing exercise, talking on a phone, and listening to three people reading letters.
Yeah. This is
To
normal.
what extent you have seen
Some
him?
of these things, for me, like I feel, oh, it's normal, but it's like every day, walking or on the treadmill and then reading letters, reading emails, talking to people on the phone, all of that. But this is, I want to share an amazing experience, and I've seen this happening very, very often. Very means every week I have seen this experience, but every time it happened, it was amazing for me. So, I remember one incident very specifically in Ganga where there was a formal meeting going on with non-art of living people. There was an international delegation talking to Gurudev. It was a 40-minute meeting going on in Ganga. And I remember, I was taking notes of that meeting, and Gurudev was fully focused on that meeting. And I get a call. I stepped out to take the phone call because I thought it's somebody very senior and very important. So I said, let me see. So that person tells me on the phone that गुरुदेव का अभी फोन आया, उन्होंने बोला है आपको ये 2-3 चीजें बतानी है. So I said, गुरुदेव का कभी फोन आया था? So they said, अभी 4 मिनट पहले फोन. I got goosebumps because the level to which Gurudev can multitask at so many dimensions, it is incomprehensible to the human mind. It defies every law of physics, chemistry, gravity, whatever that you know. In fact, this should be studied because I've seen him, we think sirf phone pe baat karna and then he's on the treadmill or he's taking a walk and he's on the phone and 5 people are talking. There are many things that are happening parallelly where he is working constantly that it is not possible for the human mind to fathom. I got goosebumps that day when that person called me up. And I said, how? I was right there in front of him. How could I miss it? Did I miss it? Was it something? And everybody in the room, whoever I asked, I said, was Gurudev on the phone? They said, no, he was not on the phone. And this was such an important message for that person. Can you imagine? Like that, I remember once, just before the Silver Jubilee, we were going with Gurudev in the car and I had printed out all his files. Those days, Gurudev didn't have his emails on his iPad. So I printed out, and those days, Silver Jubilee means, such high level official correspondence was going on. And I had printed out all those files, important, urgent, personal, miscellaneous, all that, and I had carried it with me. So I finished, he said, Gurudev said, kya hai? So I finished many of the important things. And I was sitting behind him in the car. And he said that, Jaina, aur kuch nahi hai kya important? I said, nahi, Gurudev, theek hai abhi. He has not even turned behind. He has just put his hand like that, pulled out a file from my stack of files, He's not looked down. Like that, he's opened the file and pulled out a paper without reading the paper or even glancing at it. And he said, "Ye important nahi hai kya?" And he threw the paper at me at the back. And I looked at the paper. You know what the paper said? It was from a devotee who had written to him saying, "Gurudev, if you don't call me today, I will end my life. I am so depressed. I am so low. I need you." This was a devotee from New York. So Gurudev said, "Is this not important?" And I was thinking, what is important? Message from president, message from prime minister, letter from minister, all of that. And, Gurudev made me call him that evening, and he started crying on the phone. He said, "My guru really knows I needed him." He said, "If he hadn't called me today, if you hadn't called me, I would have done something unthinkable to my life." And then Gurudev told me, "Call him immediately to the ashram." And Gurudev called him. He took care of him, Gurudev, and so much Gurudev has done. And so that is why for the master, everything is important. Everything is equally important and equally powerful. So it is not only, what you think is this, or, what you think is important. That day I learned as a secretary very early that for him, everything is important. And not everything is, necessarily told to you at the physical level. Certain things you have to understand yourself. So, yeah.
So, Didi, one question that just somebody asked in the comments: why is he working so much? Interesting question.
Yeah, I also wonder why he's working so much. But my personal assessment, I cannot read the mind of the divine, but my personal assessment is that this knowledge is very, very much needed in our times. We are living in very challenging times, and we are seeing it in our own world right now. What is happening with Corona and COVID-19 and all of that. This is a time of immense challenge. The last 100 years have been a time of immense technological leaps for the world, as well as an immense challenge for the world. Stress, illnesses, mental illnesses, conflicts, all of that have increased exponentially in many ways, in many places. And if Gurudev does not reach out this knowledge, there will be millions and millions of people who will go through this lifetime without this precious knowledge that can completely change everything for them, make them happier, make them more peaceful, and take them on this path of moksha. And that is why I believe that he works so very hard. He doesn't need to, I'm telling you, he doesn't need to. But he
And
just does.
how he manages his time, because irrespective of all this work pressure, he never misses his satsang. He's every day is doing his satsang. He does his puja. He's very disciplined with his exercises, as you mentioned. He does walk every morning. So, what do you think? Like, he keeps it balanced, right?
Gurudev is naturally in balance. It's not like he has to make an effort, like someone like me or you at the normal physical level, we have to make an effort to stay in balance, to be in the, to do all that. Gurudev is naturally in balance with the laws of nature and with the rhythms of nature. That because that is the Guru Tattva, the pure Guru Tattva, which is being expressed in this physical form. So, as I told you yesterday, that I have never seen him missing satsang in all these years except if he was on a flight. Never, not once. I have never seen him late for anything important. And sometimes, and I've never seen him missing a commitment when he has to miss a commitment. And this is also his overall commitment to the world. See, even today, in these times of Corona and COVID, Gurudev could have retreated into a shell. He is online every day, twice a day, sometimes thrice a day, to make sure that people feel uplifted, to make sure that people feel good, that people feel that there is somebody taking care of them. And this as I said, this balance for him, that it is his swabhav, it is swabhavik for him. And I've seen it in everything, in eating, in talking, in everything. So
Didi, you
yes.
mentioned about Silver Jubilee. You must be having so many memories about Silver Jubilee also and about WCF event also. Can you share a few nice memories from those times?
The Silver Jubilee was the first time we ever did something so grand. And I remember Gurudev working literally day and night. Personally, I remember him going from room to room, checking the cleanliness, checking the accommodation in the ashram. And this is also one of the hallmarks, of his personality, where he's very detail oriented in many areas and very, that vast Guru Tattva in so many areas. Similarly, with the WCF in Berlin, I have seen even in the WCF in Delhi. And, I remember in Delhi on the second day, the morning of the WCF, if you recollect on the first day, there was so much rain. I mean, there were literally big, big hailstones on the ground, and the parking lot had sunk, and, anyone else would have folded his hands and given up. And I remember the next morning, the most senior people of our organization, they came to Gurudev and in his hotel and said, Guruji, ये सब हम अभी shift कर देते हैं. Gurudev, we'll move it to a smaller venue, indoor venue. We can't do it like this. We should not do it. People were feeling like that. I mean, they were also justified from their end. And Gurudev, I remember him saying with so much conviction कि हम वहीं पे करेंगे, ये हमारी तपस्या है, पूरी संस्था की तपस्या, और हम वहीं पे तपस्या अपनी करेंगे. और and he said something very beautiful, that history does not remember the people who run away. History remembers the people who complete their penance or their challenges no matter what they go through. And for me, that was a very powerful lesson in leadership, that you never run away whenever there are challenges. And in everyone's life, even in the life of the divine, in the life of the Guru, there are challenges. How does he face them? It was so powerful for me. And it is not easy being a Guru, it's walking on a tightrope always. You are walking on the razor's edge, because every devotee has his own demands. Every devotee's prayers to you are different. One devotee's prayers may contradict another devotee's prayers. How do you walk that tightrope? It is incredible, the balance that Gurudev brings. And for me, that day of the WCF was such an important lesson in my life, that you never ever run away from anything. You move with skill, you face it with all your talents, all your resources, and with as much skill as possible. And that evening, if you all remember, the second day of the WCF, it was so incredible. It was magical, that evening. And I remember that evening after that event, Gurudev came back to the kuti, to the hotel room, and, we were all laughing, and, we were so joyful. And he said, see, didn't I tell you? So that is the beauty of the Guru.
Even Silver Jubilee, Didi, you became Gurudev's secretary and you were the first lady secretary of Gurudev. And you became secretary and the Silver Jubilee came.
Yeah.
Where you imagine that event to be so grand, because that was like first big event of Art of Living.
You remember
How
I
did you
told
take it up?
you remember I told you yesterday that the whole planning of the Silver Jubilee, all that, I worked very closely with Gurudev and everything, and I remember standing on the stage that evening, on the first day, just before the event started. Gurudev was in his kutir on the ground, I was already on the stage, well, helping to set up whatever needed to be set up. And I remember standing there and I became breathless. I was gasping for breath because I was looking at that massive crowd of millions of people. And I said, oh my God, is this what we were working for? It's incredible. And then I remember a few days later telling Gurudev that, Gurudev, I couldn't imagine it's going to be like this, though I have worked on this so closely. I said, I never imagined it. So he said, you didn't imagine it? He said, I knew exactly how it's going to be, It was so magnificent, really. And there was a lot of lessons for me. One big lesson was, I remember a very senior person, I made some mistakes in the Silver Jubilee or some correspondence or something. And a very senior person really scolded me for it. And he was right, absolutely right. And then I went and told Gurudev, I said, Gurudev, I made these mistakes. And I started laughing. I don't know why I started laughing. I mean, I was serious about repairing the mistakes, but I don't know, something looking at Gurudev's face, I started smiling and, like laughing. And he's telling me, he's telling me you made a mistake. No, I said, yes, Gurudev, and I have to correct it. But he said, at least you're laughing about it. So he said, that's the big lesson you have learned today, he said. And then I went back and I corrected it and everything became okay. But so, yeah.
Yeah.
So he
And
teaches
then
you to
Berlin.
accept your own lessons, your own mistakes. You have to accept them with a smile. Sometimes we are very hard on ourselves, no? And sometimes we're very hard on others. So he teaches you to accept everything with a smile.
Being secretary is a difficult job. When you just mentioned being hard on others, you have to be hard on others sometimes, probably, and you get so many people calling you that you are not allowing me to meet
Yeah.
Gurudev and you are allowing few people to meet Gurudev. All those things must have happened so many times with you, right? So how you used to handle all those things? Any tips from Gurudev that time, or
Oh,
you used to manage it yourself?
no, it was a combination of both. Naturally, as a secretary, you will do exactly what Gurudev wants and what he says. And many times, I mean, in fact, every day, every other day, this would happen. Every day, many times in a day, not every hour, several times in a day, where people would say that, you're not letting us in, or, you haven't conveyed our message to Gurudev or whatever. So one thing I was always particular about conveying the messages to Gurudev, but many times, see, we have to understand Gurudev is in meetings or he's doing certain things, and these are not moments for us to interrupt or, break the flow of what he's doing. And yes, it is a challenge because people sometimes don't realize that you are trying to do your best. You are not trying, you are doing your best, in that role. And but I have been very lucky also because I've got a lot of love and affection from people all over the world, even when I was very strict with them. So I've been very blessed that way.
Didi, one question just came in my mind. In WCF Delhi it rained,
Hmm.
and Berlin also it rained.
Yeah.
तो गुरुदेव को पता था कि भाई बारिश आने वाली है. I have seen him stopping the rain for the satsang. I'm sure him. So any incidents do you remember during that time, just before the preparation?
Yeah. So,
Let's say,
I remember this very, very clearly. So the day before the main WCF in Berlin, we went to the stadium. Gurudev and Gurudev took all of us to the stadium, and he was indicating to me where the dignitaries on the stage would be seated. We had that list of dignitaries, and he was, indicating to me how we should do the seating arrangement, and all of that. I was working on that on the stadium grounds, and in fact, I have one of my very few photographs with him is there. Where he's telling me something, what to do. And so then what happened is, I remember Gurudev calling one of our very, very senior teachers from Switzerland. He was in charge of logistics on the ground, Stefan Chopin. So Gurudev called him there and said, Stefan, tomorrow I want you to I want you to buy 750 blankets, woolen blankets. And all of us have looked at him thinking, what is Gurudev saying? It's 37 degrees in Berlin. It was one of the hottest days, a sweltering summer day. And we're saying, what is Gurudev talking about? It's like so hot, 700 woolen blankets for tomorrow. And Stefan says, Gurudev, blankets for tomorrow? Saying, yes, Stefan. And Stefan is like a soldier, he will do exactly what Gurudev tells him. So he just looked at him once more, Stefan, like that, like, are you sure types? And then Gurudev said, yeah. And the next day, we saw Berlin was pouring with rain. The temperatures went to 13 and 12 degrees and 4 and 5 degrees with the wind chill, and we were all shivering, no shawl, nothing. So those blankets came for such use, for the elderly people there. That's why Gurudev called for it on the grounds. So definitely Gurudev knows, but there are certain experiences that we all have to go through on this physical plane. You know, we have to go through them. The Guru Tattva, the Guru knows it all, but we have to go through them on this plane. And he'll make us go through it also. And with that rain, we saw the most beautiful rainbows also in Berlin that day. The most magical
Oh,
rainbow.
yes. And we can always talk about, there was rain and we were standing there and we were still working. Everybody was still
Yeah.
celebrating.
It was pouring and we were wet, we were drenched in the rain, and the show went on better than it would have been perhaps if it was not raining. Our teams were on the ground, the enthusiasm was as high. So, what can you say? The miracle is right there in front of your eyes. You know, so many times people ask me, oh, tell us some Guru stories with miracles. These are the greatest miracles. I tell you that the human spirit can go on even in the most difficult of circumstances. These are the greatest miracles of Gurudev. Your own story is a miracle. Every devotee watching the show, your own story is a miracle. You will tell me, yes, my life is a miracle because of my Guru, isn't it?
Very true, very true. Didi, when you are a secretary, you are 24/7 busy handling Gurudev's work, managing Gurudev's so many assignments.
Hmm.
What about the personal life? You just mentioned you are having two younger sisters.
Yeah.
So were there times when you had some personal commitments and managing the time was difficult?
You know, I was actually, for me, like even before I moved to ashram or became a secretary, like for me, somehow all my energies and my time and everything was for art of living and for Gurudev. You know, it was automatically like that for me. And for me, Gurudev says it, but I have also experienced this in my life. Gurudev says, na, tum mera kaam karo, to main tumhara kaam kar lunga. And this has really been an experience at every breath of my life, every moment of my life. You know, I have two younger sisters and I have been like a parent for them. But Gurudev has taken care of everything for them. I didn't have to do anything. You know, my mother taking care of her, Gurudev has, I mean, everything, you know, I would say everything is managed because your focus is on him, you know. And truly believe when he says that, तुम मेरा काम करो मैं तुम्हारा काम कर लूंगा, I believe that to be very true. It's my experience in life. That's why I'll urge everyone, I tell everyone that don't give up on any opportunity to do seva. Because you know, by doing seva, we are touching his life. You know, we are touching his life, his work that is spread in so many countries, touching millions of people. You know, we are touching his life like this. You want to be
Didi,
close to
talking
Guru,
about
this is how you can.
talking about so many talking about so many countries, so many people. You were international secretary for Gurudev, and you were coordinating with so many devotees around the world. And you yourself have traveled a lot with Gurudev to many countries. Can you share a few experiences about your travel with Gurudev, and also a few experiences which you know about devotees because you
For
are
me,
secretary and coordinator?
for me, you know, really, this flavor of devotion or this intensity of devotion for him is the same everywhere. For me, I'm amazed to see it. A person from Mongolia who does not speak a word of English feels as devoted to Gurudev as I do, or as you do. A teacher from Poland or Russia, that teacher has never met Gurudev and has become an art of living teacher and sold his or her car or flat to come and see Gurudev in India. Can you believe it? You tell me, have you heard such stories in your life? People who meet him once in 3 years, they are taking courses of 500 and 1,000 people in their countries. Can you believe this? This truly shows the power of our master. He's really a Sadguru. You know, when you say Sadguru, it means like a complete Guru. He's working on every person connected to him equally. Whether you're in Argentina, whether you're in Timbuktu, whether you're in Australia or Mongolia, or whether you are sitting at his feet in Ganga, he is working on you equally, you know. And I'll tell you, in Mongolia, I remember, you know, Gurudev, walking, you know, walking. I I mean, I haven't been there, but I people telling me the story that Gurudev stepped out of the airport and the Mongolians took off their shawls so that the master's feet don't touch the ground. This is the devotion, and this is something that can only happen because of the power of the Guru, what he can inspire in people. And that for me has been truly humbling, actually, because the physical closeness to Gurudev is always there. I mean, whoever, all of us, everyone, so fortunate to be in his physical presence. But can you imagine this connection? That means how powerful that person's devotion is. A person selling his flat to come and see his guru in India because he's never seen him, but he's become a teacher 3 years before that. Can you imagine? So, yes. For me, one of the most exciting moments was when, we went to the German ashram. And I remember this was Christmas Eve. And I hadn't seen snow till then. Can you imagine? And I remember telling Gurudev the night before that Gurudev, I've never seen snow, Gurudev, in the German ashram. I remember telling him. And we were looking out of the window, and around the ashram, all the hills were a very dark green, almost black, it's black forest. So the trees are almost black, the leaves are so deep green. And Gurudev said, Acha, you have not seen snow. I said, yes, Gurudev, I have not seen snow. Then, of course, evening, whatever, we went to bed, everything. The next morning at 6:30, I get a knock on my door, and I hadn't opened the curtains or anything on my window, saying that Gurudev is calling you. So I went running. I think it was Christoph or somebody called me. And I went running to the kuti, and Gurudev drew the curtains, like that with full flourish and pomp. And he said, "Look out!" And those dark green hills were covered with white, and it had snowed all night, and the first time I saw snow. So I remember telling Gurudev, I said, "Oh, like I was so excited like a child." And then he's saying, "Dekh, मैंने तेरे लिए मैंने snow बनाया," he said, and I was so excited that day. I went out and played in the snow and touched the snow for the first time. So yes, that was very magical for me.
So Didi, when Gurudev is doing his pujas, we see him in his bhav. When he's in the Navaratri, we see him in the deepest of the silence. How is your experience handling his work during the time when Gurudev is in silence? How the communication happens? How such big organization or the movement gets managed?
See, Digvijay, when Gurudev is in silence, somehow naturally and automatically the work also slows down, in the organization. And Gurudev is in his own way, I would say not in his own way, but he's like extremely organized and, very meticulous in his own way. So a lot of things, he has already, things have been put in place. Navaratri pujas are happening everywhere. And somehow, I don't know it, but it was miraculous that all those years of Navaratri, um, we have managed it. Gurudev has, I can't even explain that experience to you because the work just continues and flows so smoothly and all over the world actually. And our own people understand that Gurudev is in silence. So they will not push or press for anything at that point of time. It's very manageable.
Didi, in all the Guru stories that we heard till now from all the seniors, everybody mentioned that Gurudev is 100% divine and 100% human. And there were times when Amma passed away or Pitaji left his body. You were still around Gurudev. How were those moments?
When Amma passed away, I wasn't there with Gurudev, but when Pitaji passed away, I was there. And, I'm very, when I saw Gurudev at that time, I was very much reminded of Adi Shankaracharya, and his commitment to his mother. And I remember, Gurudev sitting with Pitaji all night in Badri Vishal, and it was his way of saying goodbye to his father. And he was so much 100% in that moment, being 100% divine, 100% the Guru, but at that time he was also 100% her Pitaji's son, at that point of time. And
Such.
yeah, at that time he was that. And it is something, for me I learned, because I used to feel it is okay to not bother so much, about family, and although I'm very committed to my family, but for me, it was that one can be 100% dispassionate yet 100% in whatever role one is given. And Guru played that role beyond 100%. I mean, I have tears in my eyes even now if I think of it. And, I remember, Bhanu Didi, like the tears in her eyes when Pitaji passed away. And Gurudev also had tears in his eyes. And then he told me later on, he said that, I भानु की आंख में जब आंसू आते हैं तो मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगता है. So he was 100% the brother also at that point of time. And that is the beauty of Gurudev, where he has played every role more than 100%. Every role. As a boss, as a son, as a brother, as God to his devotees, as the head of so many organizations, or as the pioneer of a movement, of a spiritual movement. He has been 100% in it. And his life is truly
As
a lesson by itself, because Gurudev walks the talk. I don't remember him at any point of time, I don't know how to explain it, but not walking the talk. If Gurudev tells you, early days we used to put up posters, no, in our courses. In the early days, Gurudev has gone personally and put up posters for his own courses. So out of his own experience, he's telling me to do something. That is why I say that he's 100% walking.
so talking about roles, Didi, you have traveled as a teacher to different countries, like you mentioned Paris. While you were secretary, also you traveled as a teacher,
Yes,
and
once.
now you are a trustee of SSRVM. How how did Gurudev taught you to change your hats and be perfect in each and every role? Do you remember any incidents or any lesson?
Perfect in every role, I cannot say, but you know, I remember Paris. I went to the first time right in the middle of, after Silver Jubilee, when Gurudev was going to Paris. He told me, you go early and you prepare for my visit in Paris, because I speak French. I have a degree in French. So
Hmm.
I remember, before, and I would ask him every small thing. I mean, I was like that. Even now, if I leave the room and he's in a meeting, also, I'll say, bye, Guruji, I'm going to office. I don't even know if he's interested in knowing it, but it is the way, I have been. So, I remember asking him, I said, oh, Gurudev, so I'm carrying my visiting card of the secretariat. So he said to me at that time, he said, these couple of months when you are in Paris, he said, you are wearing a different hat. He actually told me, you're wearing a different hat, you're playing a different role. So he said, you have to play that role 100%. And then it became so free and easy for me, because I went very clear in my head and it was so clear.
Didi, coming back to older days, in the introduction, I mentioned that you were living in the South Mumbai and then you became ashramite. I mean, that time, yoga was not that popular. Yoga Day was not celebrated that in
Yeah.
that scale, and you decided to be ashramite. And in those days, the construction also was not as good as we have now. And probably from the all the other stories we heard, you must be staying in the dormitory. You were mentioning
You know,
also you were.
actually, Digvijay, for me, I have, as I mentioned earlier, that looking up at the ceiling of my beautiful home in South Bombay, I used to think I'm not supposed to be here. I have to be with my guru. I have to be in the ashram. It was just from inside. And so when I moved to the ashram, actually, and those days we were 8 of us sharing a room, and the room was the size of my bathroom in Bombay. So, you know, I didn't. I don't know. I was so happy to be with Gurudev. I did not think of anything. I was so happy to be in the ashram. And I think that was our generation also, and many people even now. Like, you're just so focused on the guru and on seva and on your sadhana, that you do not think, okay, I don't have this, mere paas ye nahi hai, I'm not comfortable, I don't have this, because I remember some of my friends coming and seeing my room and then crying and all. And I said, what are you crying about? Because I'm so happy, I'm so happy living here. So I didn't find it such a big thing or a big deal. It's part of my life.
So, and how Gurudev used to take care of you, being the first lady secretary, new in the ashram. How Gurudev used to take care of.
No, he was very protective also, and he's protective with all his devotees. I can't say it's with me specifically, like that. He's very protective. He's very caring,
Any
and
incidents to remember? Any small incident?
yeah. Many times he would make sure that he would send me off to eat on time, because I used to forget to eat. Now, being with Gurudev only was such a high. So you forget to eat, you forget to drink water and all that. So you would make sure that lunchtime, go and eat, drink water, drink juice. All that he was very, very caring. And I remember one night he needed something. It was evening time, night time or something. And he called me, and those days we didn't have a laptop. So it was on my computer in the office. So तो मैं ऑफिस गई I but I was a little scared because the road was not lit or something that day. And then I remember so I told Gurudev I'm feeling a little scared. So he's saying नहीं नहीं तुम जाओ तुम चलते जाओ, he said. He's saying मैं तुमसे बात करता रहूँगा. So he was so sweet. I mean, he spoke all the while till I reached the office. I gave him that number. Then he spoke all the while till I came back, and he didn't need to do that, actually. I was so safe in the ashram. But yeah, he's taken care in so many ways I cannot even begin to explain. I cannot.
Didi, I have seen you in the role of secretariat being perfectionist.
Hmm.
Sometimes I had this notion of you are very strict as a
Yeah,
person, because when it comes to work, it feels like
yeah,
you're very strict.
yeah.
And we have so many comments coming here, and of many devotees mentioning that they are having tears in their eyes when they are listening to your Guru stories. So this aspect of yours of being a sobo girl in love with Gurudev and chasing Gurudev, doing everything for him for the love of Guru is very nice to see.
Thank you.
So
It is very nice for me also to share.
so Didi, if you think about your journey, being a teacher, being Gurudev's secretary for 13 years, uh, have you? We have never seen him doing a lot of miracles. Yeah, I mean, we know some saints who are very openly doing some miracles in the publics. Gurudev is more about taking care of people, mentoring them, grooming them, teaching them meditation.
Yeah, you said it. You said it. I remember Gurudev sharing the story many times, and I mean, I have seen, of course, miracles around him. Where sometimes he would just like rub his hand like that, and he'd say, "What do you smell?" And you smell rose. What do you smell now? You smell sandalwood. What do you smell now? You smell mogra. I've seen that happening many times. But for me, I remember him sharing this, and I somehow the story has stayed in my heart and in my mind in the early days, in the mid 80s and all, when he used to travel to London and to the United Kingdom. And that time, Gurudev was not much known, so there were just few devotees who recognized his divinity. And Gurudev went and stayed at the house, and he would do Rudra Pujas there. And he used to say that in the Rudra Puja, spontaneously, sapphires and emeralds would emerge, would come out of that puja. And it's happened to him many times in those days. But then he was saying that he decided not to. He decided not to do this because he said, I don't want people to just come for the glamour of miracles. I want to transform people's hearts and minds through knowledge and wisdom and sadhana. So Gurudev can definitely perform the miracles. Being in his presence itself is a miracle for anybody. And these stories of emeralds and sapphires, emerging out of out of the Rudra Puja and all. These were not unusual for Gurudev. He's done it. He's healed people. He's blessed them. I've seen with my own eyes. People who could not speak have started speaking. People who could not see have started seeing. I've seen people's backaches and all their problems going with my own eyes. But but what Gurudev really believes, I think, is that personal transformation has to happen on this path to moksha and to freedom.
13 years, though you are with Gurudev, in every devotee's life, sometimes it happens that you feel shaken. Sometimes, maybe through because of some incidences or something. Sometimes, were there moments in your life also where you felt that your faith is getting shaken, though it stayed strong, and you
Yeah.
managed it, or Gurudev took care of you?
To be very frank with you, Digvijay, somehow I am a person, like, I know people think of me as being very strict or being a perfectionist in my work and, all of that. But actually, my entire life is based on devotion. Somehow, I can't even explain it to you. Like the day I saw him, you know, I knew my life was for him. There are times when you wonder, अरे ये गुरुदेव ऐसे क्यों कर रहे हैं या ऐसे क्यों पूछ रहे हैं, but I say ऐसे क्यों बोल रहे हैं, whatever, but I don't think any time that my faith has ever been shaken, because somehow my life only runs on that is my oxygen, my devotion to it. And as you said, people have this impression of me of being very stern and all that, but I'm not really like that.
Now we are getting to know the other side of you. Probably that time you were wearing that hat and you had to be like that. Whoever might
No,
have faced that.
In work I am. In work I am. Or even
Amazing.
now.
So in all these years, many teachers and volunteers are watching it live. They are also missing Gurudev, and they are missing Gurudev's presence around them, meeting Gurudev. I'm sure after listening to all these Guru stories, everybody wants to go to Gurudev and meet him and spend nice time with him. If you want to share your learnings on this path as a devotee, to all our teachers, volunteers, devotees who are watching this, what learnings you will share?
Actually, I did share some when we were talking, but the first learning for me is that, faith is the basis of life. For me, that is the first thing in life. The second thing is never give up. Always have the courage for your dreams, always have the courage of conviction. Never give up in anything. The third thing is don't miss sadhana. Sadhana is our personal private appointment with Gurudev. Many times people would tell me, Didi, humko private appointment chahiye, 2 minute ka, give us a private appointment with Gurudev. This sadhana time is your private appointment with your Guru. And, don't miss that at all. The fourth thing is that, be 100%, but also when you have to let go 100%. That was a big learning for me, letting go of my role as his secretary. It was a very big personal, learning. When you have to let go, you have to let go 100%. And the fifth thing is, I've learned this from Gurudev, is keep upgrading your own skills. Gurudev used to tell me, Jaina, mujhe tum Facebook sikhao na. You have not yet taught me Facebook. So I would tell him, if I teach you Facebook, what will my role be? Then I will have no work around you. But Gurudev, in all these years, he has always upgraded himself. See how conversant he is with the technology of today's times. And I would also say that have always know that the divine will only give you the best in life. That's what I can say. And work hard. One has to work hard. And be smart. I tend to forget sometimes to be smart and just to work hard, but one should be smart and skillful.
Okay. All the viewers, if you have any questions, You can put it in the comments and we will display and ask your questions. Didi, what is Gurudev for you?
Oh, how do you explain it? I mean, he's every breath actually for me. I actually, even now, sometimes I wake up in the morning and I think, what does he need? What is he doing? It's old habits. So he is everything, and Guru Mat Pita, Guru Bandhu Saka. That's all.
And Didi, you had amazing time with Gurudev, and there are so many other stories also which we would love to hear. But if Gurudev is there in front of you right now, how would you like to express your gratefulness, this gratitude towards him?
He knows my heart. He knows everything. Now I'm also feeling emotional. No, he knows me. He knows my heart. So how do you express the inexpressible? You cannot. There is no language on earth that has enough vocabulary for your love and devotion for the Guru and the glory of the Guru. You put all the languages on this planet together and there's not enough vocabulary. What else can you say?
Shall we take some questions, or we can keep it for your breath meditation, breath and meditation
Take
workshop?
a couple of questions anytime. These
Okay.
questions I won't probably take in the online workshop.
So yeah, Didi is taking online workshop, and the details are scrolling below. So you can contact the given number for attending online Sudarshan Kriya Art of Living Happiness course, or nowadays it is called Breath uh, and Meditation Workshop. So you can note the details and contact the given number for that. Didi, the question is, if Gurudev knows our future, then why does he make us go through all the suffering in life?
See, one thing I will tell you is that don't blame Gurudev or God or anybody for your suffering. The laws of karma are inexplicable in this world. They are truly inexplicable. And we have to go through what we have already given somebody else. The seeds that you have sown, you have to eat the fruit of that seed. Nobody else can eat it for you. And you may have sown those seeds when and how and where you don't know. Only one person knows that. And I remember Gurudev saying this once when he was talking about the Mahabharata. This was just few of us in the kutir, and he was talking about the Mahabharata. And Gurudev said, that he was talking about the heroes and the villains. And he said that in the eyes of the divine, both are the same, actually. Both are playing a role so that eventually a greater good comes out. And he said that karma is inexplicable, and how does one deal with it? Someone was asking Gurudev, who keeps tab of all this karma? So he said like this, I do. But the fact is that you have to go through what you have to go through, but you have to also acknowledge that you are very fortunate that you have a guru to guide you on this path and to hold your hand.
Next question is very interesting. Now that you have structured the secretariat, there are defined roles for all the secretaries. There are some people assisting secretaries. You have structured the secretariat office. What qualification you will look for when you are choosing a secretary?
Oh my God, I will not choose the secretaries anyway.
No, this is a question for you. Now, being a secretary for 13 years, because I think many people would like to prepare themselves for the role.
Oh my
Just in
God.
case.
Just in case, huh? Yeah. It is devotion, it is commitment. That is the first rule. And the second role is, the second qualification is, actually, I don't know, because Gurudev has chosen his secretaries. They've been of varied personalities, whether it was Gyan or Kishore.
But what will make the work easy? Let's put it this way. What will make the work easy if you know certain things for the entire office?
I think technology.
Interesting question.
Yeah, very interesting. I think technology for today's times. Very important.
Mm.
The second is also to understand, the people, how they are placed around Gurudev. When I say how, not physically around Gurudev, but devotees all over the world. There are so many old timers, people who had old connections with Gurudev or new connections, and also watching Gurudev to understand what is a priority at that moment. So a lot of awareness is needed, actually. A lot of mental agility and awareness.
Okay. Uh, One more question we will take. Okay, two more questions. What was the most challenging time you had when you were around Gurudev? Some challenging incidents when you were around Gurudev. It was very much pressurizing for you.
I think the WCF in Delhi was a big challenge. It was a
Mm.
big challenge. Even at I found the Silver Jubilee, though we worked very hard, even harder in the Silver Jubilee, I found it went by like a
Mm.
dream, like a miracle. The WCF in Delhi was a challenge.
And how was Gurudev that time? What you mentioned about he was very, as a leader, he told you this is how it should be. But was he under pressure a little bit?
At the human level, yes. But I think he knew the outcome also, so that is why he could move and lead all of us so smoothly. Definitely.
Mm. So whenever we used to meet him, I was handling a small role of communication, but he used to joke around, no? Whenever he used to visit the ground and stage, so he used to joke around, laugh around, and that time we were facing so many different challenges, but still he was very.
Yeah. So Gurudev, as I told you, his sense of humor and his ability to see the lightness in even in the most challenging situation is amazing. Amazing.
Didi, how do you maintain your poise?
I don't know, but see, watching
This is
Gurudev,
somebody.
I think something gets transferred and imbibed to you automatically. Watching him, some vibrations also come to you. You become a better person. But I was always very pakka in my sadhana, very very pakka. There's not a day that I missed
Didi,
it.
one last question. Uh, there are so many questions in this regard, but were there times when you felt that he's the Lord of the universe, and when the world will realize it? Was there any mention from Gurudev about that? That
Actually, many times, if you see him somewhere like in satsang or in certain places, you know that this is the Lord of the universe. But how and when the world will realize it, see, Digvijay, that those efforts we all have to join in to reach out to people so that their lives get changed. And I also think that there is a way to do it with people. You know, we cannot all the time push our own devotion down people's throats, right? Because in fact, being having devotion or being devoted is also being skillful. So at the right moment with the right people, the right approach has to be taken. I don't know when the whole world will realize it, but as long as you and I have realized it, we are lucky, and our efforts should be to make others realize it and keep contributing to Gurudev's work.
Didi, we had wonderful 90 minutes time with you.
Oh, it's been
और ये
90
समय
minutes.
कैसा गया बिल्कुल पता नहीं चला. Almost 80 minutes we can say, and 7 more minutes to go. पर बहुत अच्छा लगा. People who are watching this can comment in the comment section. Uh, how did you like it? You can mention if you want to ask something to Didi. You can also mention that in the comment section. We will convey that to her. And you are conducting a course, happiness course now.
Yeah, starting on the 17th. I'm conducting one now, it's
Seven.
going on, and one on the 17th also.
So along with all these roles, being a trustee of an educational wing of Art of Living, would you like to speak about that a bit? Being now you are a trustee.
I
How
told you.
Gurudev and Bhanu Didi,
Sorry, how Gurudev and?
how Gurudev and Bhanu Didi has done so much of work in the education sector also.
It's incredible, and I'll tell you what, Banu Didi has done with the free schools is an incredible achievement. It is not easy the way those schools have reached to the tribal areas and to the weakest sections of society. But for me, also, the role is very. I mean, I've learned a lot, and my team is very supportive to me, and I love this field also of education. Though, as you know, I feel that for me, things like I like international relations, I like media, I like all of that, but I'm also loving education very much, and it's a an opportunity to make a change at the grassroots level. Truly, making a change, on at the grassroots level in society is a very big blessing that's been given to me by Gurudev and by Didi, and I'm so very grateful. It's truly.
Thank you, Didi. Today's
Thank
session, so many people are posting their comment that while listening to you, we were having this feeling that you are so lucky, and we are also having this feeling that we are so lucky.
Yeah. And that's what
In
I want
all your
everyone to feel actually, that everyone is lucky, because many times, people say, oh, Jaina Didi, you're so lucky. Of course, I'm lucky. I'm the most fortunate person on this planet. But I feel everyone is also so lucky.
yes, amazing, Didi.
Yeah.
Some interesting questions are also coming up, which we can
Okay.
take, but maybe we can take some other time.
Okay.
All of you are welcome to have a separate session for your chapter, your country with Jaina Didi. And there are so many stories which she did not share now because there was time limit. She traveled so many countries with Gurudev. She has, so many beautiful stories with Gurudev. And you can always have a separate session with Didi. You can actually organize a course or something else for
I'd
Jaina
love.
Didi for
And
your
thank you
growth.
so much, Digvijay. This is a very wonderful initiative on your part to bring, these guru stories to people, and it helps us also. Talking to you, I was also remembering and, feeling so pleasant and wonderful. So thank you so much.
I saw this emotional aspect of yours for the first time because we might not have interacted much, but it's very emotional when you were talking about Gurudev. You became emotional. It was lovely seeing that aspect.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank,
And thank you,
thank you,
everyone, for
Didi.
watching. Thank you.
Thank you, Jai Gurudev. So tomorrow also we have wonderful Art of Being senior teacher with us, Sangeeta Jani Didi. So you can all join for tomorrow's session also. And today you all had wonderful time, I'm sure. So you can post in the comment section, and we will convey all your messages and your love to Jaina Didi. And keep watching. If you have not seen the playlist of other senior teachers, you can go to tiny.cc/Guru Stories and you can watch these amazing stories. You can, in the morning, you can play it. While you're sleeping, you can just play it and be in this space of gratefulness. Thank you, Jai Gurdev.